Hi, my name is Cliff. You're looking for an earthquake prediction video. Well, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen because I saw it in a couple of um, out-of-body experiences. First of all, I'd like to tell you I think of myself as one of God's warriors. I have no reason to lie to you or make anything up. So I'm going to tell you about what happened. This was about 10 years ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday. And I'll tell you right off the bat, an out-of-body experience is not like a dream. It's nothing like it at all. In a dream, you're just kind of going with it. You don't have any control, and you barely remember anything after a little while. You, you know, uh, you, everybody knows what a dream is like. An out-of-body experience, on the other hand, is really, really bizarre. You can remember everything back here, everything clear as a bell, yet you're just somewhere else. You're just like, I don't know. You dropped into a new place, and um, when it happened to me at the time, I kind of wanted to just um, go with it for as long as I could. I thought it was very interesting right off the bat, and I was going to stay very calm and um, cool, just not have any fear, not have any emotions whatsoever. I just kind of wanted to just observe for as long as I could, and that's what I did. Okay, so let me tell you what happened. It was late morning or early afternoon, I'm not sure, but I laid down on my bed to take a nap. And I found myself opening my eyes to standing in front of a chain link fence. It was about 8 feet high or so. And on the other side of it was this steep, steep slope, kind of very kind of just made of dirt, slope that went all the way down to about 300 feet down, I think. At the bottom of the slope was these erosion control boulders, that stacked up, and there was some small ocean waves breaking against them. And I'm looking out across a big bay. This was to keep you from falling down the cliff. And there was this huge bay that went all the way around it. And way out in the distance was this a bridge that crossed over, and it looked like kind of like a wagon wheel, half submerged, and it was way out there, and it was huge, just a huge bridge. So I'm just kind of staring at that, realizing that I'm not in a dream. I'm kind of like, this is pretty interesting. I'm just stay focused. Let's just see what we can see for as long as we can. I know where I'm supposed to be. I know the date and everything. I should be back here in bed. Excuse me. So I'm just kind of going with it, and it starts lasting a long time. A couple minutes go by. So I decided, heck, I'm just turning around. I turned around slowly to see what was behind me, and excuse me. When I did, I recognized that I was in my old neighborhood. These are the houses where I grew up in. Um, I recognized right off the bat the mountains up back there. These were the Los Gatos Santa Cruz Mountains near Highway 17, Los Gatos, and all the houses were in the same place, but there had been some changes. I could see there was a lot of second stories and new designs, and fences were a lot higher. And I'm kind of just tripping on this. I'm like, whoa, this is my old neighborhood. And what should have been behind me would have been San Jose, Silicon Valley. And on the other side of the fence should have been Freeway 85 running through there. But um, I'm just kind of soaking it all in. And from up the street comes walking these three nurses wearing white. Well, they were like hospital orderlies, nurse uniform type things with bibs on. Um, maids uniforms, like they're gonna make beds in a hospital. And there was two Mexican girls, or Hispanic, whatever, and this big, heavy black girl, and just waddling along. And I called out to him, "Excuse me, what year is this?" And they kind of looked at me through the sides of their eyes, and they just started walking faster to get by me. Well, excuse me, what year is this? And big black girl finally, she turned to me and said, "You don't know what year this is?" Well, just what year is this? And she said 30. And I wasn't sure at the time it was either 3 or 30. I don't know. I was just like, at the time I thought it was 3, but it was afterwards, I think it had to be 30. And anyway, I just let them go. I could tell they didn't want nothing to do with me. And that's when I looked down at my clothes after they'd gotten up away from me. And I noticed my clothes were these filthy rags, just absolutely filthy, like a vagrant homeless person would wear. And I was barefoot. I could see my feet down there, and I didn't think they looked like my feet. They looked very skinny and bony, and I didn't really put two and two together right there, but I don't think it was me. I think I might have been dropped into someone else. Anyway, everything was going strong. I still didn't have any emotions, and I decided, well, what the heck? I'll just go up the street, a few streets up, and see what my mom's old house looked like. I'm just curious. Thinking now, if I'd found a newspaper out there, I would have picked it up and known the date. But I start walking, and I can feel stickers under my feet. I'm out in this patch of dirt where there's weeds and stickers, and I'm like, ouch. I look around, and I see a pair of shoes sitting over by this electrical box sticking out of the ground. So I go over there and I sit down on the box to put the shoes on, and that's when I start getting kind of excited. This is going on a long time, and I think that might have been the trigger. I started feeling dizzy, and then everything just shot away from me. Everything I was looking at kind of went tunneling away from me. And next thing I was in is gray, just surrounded by gray, a kind of smoky dark gray. And I lifted up my hands in front of me. I could see my hands. I was looking at both sides of them, just like they were my hands. And I clapped them together. There was no feeling and no sound. And I was kind of dumbstruck with that. And also they were kind of transparent. They weren't solid. They were kind of like semi-transparent. Anyway, since everything had shot away from me that way, I twisted around to look behind me to see where I was going. And I was about ceiling level, looking down at myself laying straight up in bed. Just face up in bed. That was me. And then I went floating down to a sitting and then laying back into myself. And all just wide-eyed, staring straight up at the ceiling. And I laid there for about half an hour, just going, whoa, what was that all about? I mean, just thinking, who's going to believe this? You know, just nobody's going to believe this, that I was out of my body, And what the heck happened to San Jose? That should have been San Jose, Silicon Valley, not a big giant bay. So, for weeks after that, I kind of kept that same mood, just wow, what happened to San Jose? Well, it was about 3 months later. Um, I was, I got my answer. And this next one, first, I felt very honored by that out-of-body experience. I just felt like, wow, this does not happen to everybody. And, I just felt I felt kind of alone in the world, like, who in the world is going to believe this? Anyway, 3 months later, almost exactly, I got a big answer to that, and this one, it was an out-of-body experience too. This one was the most terrifying thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I mean, it was terrifying. And what happened? This time I was dropped into the west side of the mountains, on the ocean side, the Pacific side. And I had just enough time to recognize where I was in the foothills, just a little bit south of Santa Cruz. I could see Monterey Bay out there, the peninsula out there. And it was a very clear, warm day. I think it was about perhaps maybe late morning or late afternoon. It was I think it felt kind of like late summer, but I don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, I'm on this dirt road in the foothills, and all of a sudden there's an earthquake. I feel the ground start to move quite a bit. And I dove for these bushes, grabbed onto the stalks, right, to hang on. And that's when this earthquake just escalated to something incredible. This was not like any earthquake we've ever seen before, ever recorded. It was probably beyond measure. This was like all the land moving, just everything moving. And it was going up and out towards the west, towards the Pacific, by hundreds of feet. I mean, just up, I was going up. And I was hanging on, and the mountain, where I was laying on my belly at this point, hanging on to the bushes, and everything just started going up, up, up like that, to where I was hanging on for dear life on the side of a cliff. Boulders and debris were rolling past me, and I was kind of staying close to the side of the mountain, and it was getting pretty hard to hang on. I struggled for a while there, and my arms were getting weak, tired, and I was getting desperate. I couldn't let go because I was now in a dangerous position. I'd slide down the mountain, I'd be injured. So I'm desperately kicking at the ground, trying to make a foothold, just kicking the hardest I can with my toes. And I finally got about maybe a half inch or so of a foothold, just enough to relieve some pressure on my arms. And everything started coming back down to a stop. And I was contemplating whether to whether I need to climb up and over or down somehow. Either way, I was stuck on the side of a mountain in a dangerous spot now. And I twisted around to see the view behind me, and I'll be damned, the whole ocean is gone. What should have been Monterey Bay, there's no water. The whole ocean has disappeared. And that was the damnedest thing I ever seen. I could see the Monterey Peninsula out there, and the ocean was gone. There was nothing but a big, muddy, wet slope that went down into a mist that way out in the distance. And I'm just kind of stunned by this, just, whoa, you know. And I'm staring at the horizon, looking for the ocean, and I notice it's twinkling, and it's moving. There's movement out there. And then I'm kind of just focusing, what do I see out there? And oh my God, it's the ocean coming back. And I'm looking at it, just, it's a wave. It's a wave. Just getting higher and higher. Apparently the water had slipped off of the continental shelf and had welled up out there in the deep and was coming back. And it was growing. It was a wall of water just growing. And it was terrifying. I was getting really panicked. It was going to get me. It was going to come across land and smash into the mountain I was hanging on to. I was starting to sweat and panic. By the time I saw it crossing the beaches, it looked to be, in my best estimate, about 1,000 feet high. And, it could have been higher, but it was just monstrous. And I started sweating and I'm getting really scared. And I think the very last thing I said was, "Oh God." And then bang, I was back. And I was just drenched in sweat, just laying in my bed, and I started praying, "God, thank you, God, thank you for getting me out of there." And that was it. That's what happened. This wasn't a dream. This is what I saw. Okay, this was given to me as a message to tell. And after thinking about it these years, I've got some advice for anybody. You need to get away from the California coast if you don't want to drown a miserable, painful death. If you can't, then you should try to get yourself a four-wheeler. You're going to need to get above 1,000 feet, probably 1,500 feet at least elevation. And you're going to need to do it quick. You're going to need that four-wheeler to get around all the fallen debris and people in the way. And, push cars out of the way if you have to. Go as far as you can, then get out and run the rest of the way. Climb. You're going to need to keep the backpack at the ready with emergency supplies, fire starting stuff, a little tent in there, hunting and fishing supplies, emergency, stuff to disinfect cuts. I recommend putting a aluminum pot in there for boiling water. You're going to need water. Disinfectants, because an infection could kill you. And you're going to need to eke it out for quite a while. It's going to be a long time before help comes. And from what I've seen on the internet, you should probably avoid military help. I don't trust the government. I don't know. That's just me. But I would say avoid the military. Just stay up there on the mountains. Don't come down too early. This big of a movement could see the ocean coming back even up to a couple days later and take you by surprise. So stay up there. Be absolutely positive everything's back to normal and the ocean is not going to move around. Um, so that's it. That's my video. Um, I believe this message was given to me by God, even though I'm not really a fanatical Christian or anything, but someone gave me this message, and it's been a boulder on the shoulder. It's not easy sitting here talking to a camera like this alone. It took a few practice runs. Um, it's not easy, but it's getting easier, I guess. Anyway, that's it. I wish you the best. God bless. I wish I didn't have this news, but this is coming. This is going to happen. And I think that if you're on this video, you're probably seeing a lot of this. Other people saying the same thing. Something big's happening. Well, I just told you what I saw. Um, it's coming. Um, I really feel sorry for all the people that are gonna perish from this. It's probably gonna be in the millions. It's gonna affect the whole world. But anyway, so that's the video. God bless everybody. Thanks for listening, and see y'all later.